All right, and in the meantime, let's now focus on the data point according to the information that is contained in different sources. For instance, the Central Bank of Kenya has been tracking the behavior of the fuel prices across the globe, and this is an excerpt of the Central Bank latest bulletin. It says that international oil prices declined during the week ending December 7th, reflecting weak demand in the U.S. and China, and increased oil output from the U.S. Murban oil price declined to $75.18 per barrel on December 7th from USD 85.51 per barrel on November 30th. So there's a significant decline there. This is how it has been behaving. In September, a barrel was costing $97.35 US cents, but now it has come down to 75, which is a decline of 22 US dollars and a bit of a few cents right there. Now, beyond that, what we know is that the petroleum prices, the international petroleum prices, have also been declining. They've been fluctuating over time. In June this year, a metric ton of petroleum was $818. It went up a little bit up to the month of September when it was $947 US dollars, but it started going down in the month of October, and now it is settling at $791.66 US cents. Of course, you can see the trend, that is a downward trend, matching with what we just observed on the Murban prices. Then when it comes to the landed cost in the country, of course, we'll be telling you some of the factors that are considered in calculating the landed cost of petroleum products in the country. In June, it was at $691 US dollars per metric ton. It went up. The highest was in the month of October at $827 US dollars, but now it has come down to $694. Of course, you may want to ask, because the month of June and the month of November, the price appears almost the same. It is $691 here, it is $694 US dollars there. Of course, so many factors have happened in between here. The forex, the Kenya shilling has depreciated against the dollar, and so much changes, including the value-added tax and other considerations in the pricing of petroleum products in the country. Now, this is what goes into calculating the landed cost. Remember, the landed cost is crucial, because it is on the basis of that every other cost is onboarded into costing the fuel prices. Free onboard price, of course, this is at the source. The freight and premium, also calculated in using the US dollar as a currency. Then there's the letter of credit charges. Of course, you may remember that at the moment, the government and the oil marketing companies are using the government-to-government arrangement. All those are priced based on the US dollar. And therefore, every time the Kenya shilling versus the dollar is fluctuating, it makes the landed cost more expensive, and that's what has been happening. But then there are several costs that are in Kenya shilling, meaning they are not affected by forex. For instance, insurance and war risk charges goes into the landed cost. Stevedoring charges, which is the cost involved in loading and offloading into the ship that is coming to Kenya. There's a certificate of conformity that is also issued. Then there's the Kenya Ports Authority handling fees, again in Kenya shilling. There are many other costs that go into that, including ocean losses, you may think about that, administration fees, there's inspection charges, there's the analysis and recertification charges that has to be done, and demurrage costs for the delays in loading the ship from the port of departure and offloading the ship at the port of arrival. That would be in Mombasa. For any delays, that is demurrage cost, and it is cost using the Kenya shilling currency. Then there are certain things that I want us to look at on how the trends have been. The landed cost in the month of November was 130 shillings per litre of Super Petrol in the country. In December, which is today, it is being said to be at 111 shillings, meaning there's a difference of 20 shillings. But of course, the price of the Super Petrol has only declined by 5 shillings. We'll be seeing why. The storage and distribution was 4 shillings a month ago. Today, it is 4 shillings, fewer cents than it was last month. The oil marketing company's margins, in the last calculation of November, it was put at 2 shillings 4 cents. This time round, it has gone up by 10 shillings, now settling at 12 shillings 39 cents. Of course, this time round, the oil marketing companies still had their margins, but the margins were being met by a price stabilization fund from the government. And therefore, that may explain why, in as much as the landed cost has reduced, the oil marketing companies' margin is making it slightly more expensive. Then taxes and levies. Last month it was 80 shillings 57 cents. Right now it is 79 shillings 9 cents, just a marginal decline. Then the price stabilization, last time there was none, but this time round it is not a stabilization, but actually you're paying more, 5 shillings 75 cents. And the essence of this, the government is saying, is to be in a position to cross-subsidize diesel, meaning that for every litre of petrol that you buy, there's 5 shillings 75 cents that you pay that goes to pay for a litre of diesel. I hope you understand that. And therefore, once you calculate all that, the decline of 20 shillings in the landed cost, the increment of the oil marketers, marketing companies' margins, an increment of 10 shillings, it reduces that decline, and then you add the 5 shillings, you settle at 212 shillings 36 cents for a litre of Super Petrol in Nairobi. Again, let's compare what has happened during the year. January 2022, the calculated price was 177 shillings. Of course, it is the same price that was published by EPRA. It has kept changing. You realize that in June 2023, it went up a little bit by 5 shillings, partly because of the US dollar. But in July, it went up by 12 shillings. The reason was there was a new or higher VAT of this time around 16% from 8%. In August, well, it went up again, majorly because of Forex, but also the import cost of the petroleum products. But then again, it was subsidized. No, there was a price stabilization. The government says it's not subsidy, it is price stabilization. That's why the calculated charge was 202 shillings, but the published ones was 194 shillings. Again, in October, it went up to 220. There was a bit of price stabilization to sell at 217. Last month, the calculated price was 229 shillings a litre, but there was stabilization settling down at 217 shillings. This time around, the month that you're in, or today actually, the calculated price is not given. What is given is the published price of 212 shillings. But obviously, if you had to calculate, you'd find that this would have been lower than 212, just like I've explained, the reason being that there is the oil marketing companies, the margins, but also the cross-subsidization for diesel. Then again, finally, this is looking at the trend of the US dollar. In April this year, the rate that was used by EPRA was 138 shillings 96 cents. Today, we're talking about 157 shillings 52 cents, and that can easily explain to you why petroleum prices continue to rise every month in. And that